start paneling our ginormous 9-inch by 10-inch double barrel. So I'm going to start out by rolling out some of my modeling chocolate, and you can use this exact same technique for fondant. I'm actually going to start with a small rolling pin. So I am looking for this to be 10 inches tall by about 10 inches wide, and I'm going to panel my giant double barrel in pieces, and I'm just going to hide the seams by sort of blending them together. And the reason I'm doing it in pieces is because when I'm paneling, I like to chill my pieces of fondant or modeling chocolate, this on here. And my freezer only fits so much, so we're constricted. And I want this to be nice and thin. My large rolling pin to kind of smooth everything out. Nothing to stick. Got a couple of pieces of blue fondant from my rolling pin. Not good. Like that. It's like super duper warm in here. Okay. Just gonna roughly cut off some of this excess so that it's on my paper, so that I can transfer this to my pan, and then I'm gonna pop this into the freezer for like 5 minutes. Don't wanna do it for too long, because if it's in there for too long, then this gets like rock hard frozen and then it'll crack. We want it just so that it's firmed up a little bit, so like 5 minutes. Okay, so this is coming out of the freezer. It's nice and firm. Transfer that. And while that was freezing, I went ahead and did my second one. I'm gonna go throw that into the freezer. All right, so I'm going to use Quilter's ruler. And I get this just at, the craft store in the fabric section. And I'm gonna use this basically to make myself some nice straight lines. So start out leveling off the bottom. Make sure I got 10 inches here, just barely. That edge, that's 10 inches right there. Okay, so I'm going to put a cardboard round down first to make it easier to transfer this later. Cake there. Bring our little piece over here, and because this has been chilled, it should be pretty easy to handle. So you can just wrap that puppy around the cake. Looks like a big thing of Swiss cheese, or cheddar cheese I should say. It's a cake smoother. Just make sure there's no bumps or lumps in there that are unwanted. Just pressing this firmly against our nice buttercream. Pretty flawless. Okay, let's go get our other piece. Okay, got our second piece here. Just gonna line up this one edge here. Push that towards the seam to kind of seal it all up, and it blends out. Let's wrap this around. It almost fits exactly. I just got lucky. Just gonna trim off just a scotch. Press that in there. A little bit more. Just using a razor blade to trim out those little pieces of modeling chocolate. Press on. I'm just taking a small modeling tool and I'm just blending out that seam. That's the nice thing about modeling chocolate, is it wants to blend into each other. So you can't even tell now. Do the same thing to the other side. Yeah, good enough. We'll call that good, and we'll call that the back. Now I'm going to trim off the top. So I'm going to stick my razor blade fairly far into here, and I'm going to use the top of the cake as a guide to just slowly trim off the top. Take your time. Try not to skim the buttercream like I just did. Keep using your cake as a guide. Nice, sharp, new blade for this helps. And instead of pulling this towards me, I'm actually rotating my turntable, and that helps. All right, split off. If there's any high spots, you can go back with your blade and fix them. Now I'm gonna roll out another piece and chill it and put it on top and then cut that part off. Okay, got our chilled piece of monoline chocolate for the top. Press that on there. So because we've got quite a bit of overhang, I'm going to just kind of trim off the excess first so I can kind of see what I'm doing. Oh, that's better. Just as we did before, you're gonna come in until you're right flush up against the cake. And you're just gonna hold the blade right up against the cake and just bring it around slowly. Oops. My top moved a little bit, which means my blade is sticking. So I'm gonna grab a new blade. Okay, again, I'm basically holding the blade in place and I'm turning the turntable. And again, we can go back on any little places that we missed, shave those off, and when you're done, the seam should be basically invisible. Like, I don't think anybody would notice this unless they were like way up close and possibly a cake decorator and knew what they were looking for. Use my smoother, smooth everything out. And that's it, guys. You see how beautiful that looks? Perfectly straight edges, no lumps or bumps. Looks pretty nice. That is how you panel a ginormous cake that you're too afraid to cover in fondant. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Liz Merrick, and I'll see you guys next time.